Rebecca Pearson used to believe that her life was perfect. She was born into wealth, real wealth, the kind that whispered power instead of shouting it. The Pearson estate stood like a kingdom on its own, filled with polished floors, quiet servants, and walls that had never known struggle. She had everything: a loving mother, a respected father, a future already paved in gold. At least, that was what she believed until the day her mother died. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and endings. Rebecca sat beside the bed, her fingers tightly wrapped around her mother's frail hand. The machines beeped softly, counting down moments neither of them could hold on to. Becca, her mother's voice, came out weak, barely above whisper. I'm here, Mom. Rebecca said quickly, forcing a sweet smile that refused to stay steady. You'll be fine. The doctor said, listen to me. Something in her tone made Rebecca stop. Her mother's eyes, once warm, full of life, now carried something else: fear. There are things you don't know, she said slowly. Things about this family. Rebecca's heart skipped. What do you mean? But her mother didn't answer. Instead, her grip loosened. The machine gave a long, flat sound. And just like that, everything ended. The funeral was grand. Of course it was. Pearson didn't do anything halfway, not even grief. Black cars lined the estate. Important people came and went, offering condolences that sounded empty the moment they were spoken. Rebecca stood still through it all, numb, silent, watching. Her father didn't cry. That was the first thing that felt wrong. It didn't take long for everything to fall apart. 2 weeks. That was all it took. 2 weeks after her mother was buried, her father called her into the living room. He wasn't alone. A woman sat beside him, elegant, composed, unfamiliar, and next to her stood a girl, Rebecca's age, Rebecca's height, Rebecca's reflection in another life. This is Leah, her father said calmly, and this is Roslyn. Rebecca blinked, confused. Who? They will be staying with us from now on. The words landed, but they didn't make sense. Staying, Rebecca replied. For how long? Her father didn't hesitate. Permanently. That was the moment her perfect life shattered. The truth came out like poison. Leah wasn't a guest, she was his mistress. And Rosalind was his daughter, born the same day as Rebecca. Same day, same father, different mothers, different fates. Rebecca felt something inside her break quietly, completely. But worse than the truth was what came after. Leah took over the house like she has always belonged there. Rosalind took everything else, her space, her peace, her father. Even the servants began to shift their loyalty, bending towards the new mistress of the house. And her father, he watched it, he allowed it, he said nothing. For the first time in her life, Rebecca Pearson realized she was completely alone. The change didn't happen overnight. It would have been easier if it did. Instead, it crept in quietly like a shadow, stretching across a room, unnoticed until it swallowed everything. At first, it was small things. Rebecca returned to her room one afternoon to find her clothes missing from the wardrobe. Not gone, just moved, folded carelessly into boxes, pushed to the side like they no longer belonged. Rosalind stood in front of a mirror, admiring herself in one of Rebecca's dresses. Oh, she said casually when she saw her, I hope you don't mind. Father said I could take anything I like. Rebecca's chest tightened. That's mine. Rosalind smiled. Not anymore. At dinner, things were worse. Leah sat at the head of the table, Rebecca's mother's seat. Her father didn't object, didn't hesitate, didn't even notice the way Rebecca froze when she walked in. Come, Rebecca, Leah said smoothly. You shouldn't stand there like a guest. A guest? In our own home. Rebecca sat down slowly, her appetite gone. Rosalind laughed softly at something their father said. He smiled at her, warmly, proudly. It was a look Rebecca hadn't seen, directed at her in a long time, if ever. Days turns into weeks, weeks into something unbearable, and the cruelty stopped pretending to be subtle. Why do you always look so miserable? Rosalind asked one evening, leaning against Rebecca's door. It's exhausting. Rebecca said nothing, staring down at her book. You should be grateful. Rosalind continued, Mother and I brought life into this house. It was so dull before we came. Rebecca's finger tightened. This is my home. Rosalind laughed. That's where you are wrong. The lie started after that. A broken vase, a missing necklace, a rumor whispered into the right ears. Every time, the blame found its way back to Rebecca. And every time her father believed it. Rebecca, I'm disappointed in you. Those words become a routine, cold, repetitive, final. I didn't do it, she would say, but it didn't matter. Her word carried no weight anymore. The servant stopped defending her. Her father stopped listening. And Leah watched it all unfold with quiet satisfaction. But nothing hurt more than what came next. Daniel, the man who once held her hand like she was the only thing that mattered. The man who promised her forever, her fiancé. Rebecca, we need to talk. She stood in the garden, the evening breeze brushing against her skin. What is it? She asked quietly. Daniel avoided her eyes. I think we should call off the engagement. Silence. Why? She whispered. It's not working. He said, You've changed. I've been trying to survive, she replied, her voice breaking. I know what people are saying, he said. And just like that, she understood. You believe them? He hesitated. I think Rosalind understands me better. Something inside Rebecca shattered completely. By the time the night fell, Rebecca Pearson has lost everything, and the worst was yet to come.